Hello and happy 2024. You have a year that is so full of possibilities and potential ahead of you and rich with spiritual lessons. And I'm here to help you through all of it. Hello, I'm Kari Samuels, your intuitive counselor and happiness coach with your 2024 forecast. This is a year ahead forecast. We're looking at an overview of the year and distilling the most important spiritual lessons, the most important themes. And really, that's encapsulated by our numerology. 2024 in numerology is an 8 universal year. And this is very different than what you experienced last year. 2023 was a 7 year, so that's more introspective and soul searching. 8 takes everything and amplifies it. And it's good that the 7 comes before 8, because with all that soul searching, with all that you know you don't want to carry with you anymore, you're more clear about what you will and will not tolerate. And if you're having a hard time knowing what you're meant to do moving forward, that's okay. We start this year, day 1, Mercury retrograde. And what's interesting is Mercury stationed direct on January 1st. So there's a message in that. It's like the universe is saying all of the lessons from last year, in fact, all of the lessons from your life are carried forward with you. And there's a shadow period after Mercury stations direct. It's the post-shadow period of integration. And this is very important because the lessons that you've learned and the things that came up for you during Mercury retrograde, which would have happened the last 3 weeks of December, they're going to show up for you again now in terms of what you want to integrate. So even though we have this very open sky in January, the first 3 weeks are very much about reflecting. You have a big year ahead of you. This is going to be a year that tests you, actually, because whenever we have the 8 universal year, it tests your strength. In the tarot, it is the strength card. So that doesn't mean you're inherently strong, right? You have to build your strength. And how do you build strength? By having things get torn down and rebuilt again sometimes. That's how you build your muscles, right? Through exercise, through discipline. So there's going to be a lot this year that tests your strength. And I can hear the response already, like, haven't I been through enough? This is a very special year. This is like no other we've ever seen on the planet. Next year is going to be even more dynamic and dramatic because we have 5 planets in new signs. I mean, that's unprecedented. This year, we have 2 planets, Neptune and Pluto, in their very final degrees of the sign. In fact, Neptune is in the very final degrees of Pisces, which is the end of the zodiac. So there's this sense of waking up to some delusions. That's what Neptune teaches you. It's about dreams and illusions, but sometimes you feel like you're coming out of a fog. And there may be issues that are coming up for you right now, and definitely throughout the year, where you're like, wait, why did I do that? Why didn't I see that before? It's because they're karmic. You've brought them with you through many lifetimes. And Pluto is changing signs. And Pluto is a generational planet. Pluto changes signs about every 18 to 20 years. And since 2008, Pluto's been in Capricorn. Government, finance, the economy, patriarchy even. We're going through the final degrees of that this year. So Pluto's going back and forth through the final degrees of Capricorn into the beginning degrees of Aquarius. And eventually, in November, right after the United States presidential election, settle into Aquarius for 20 years. We've already seen Pluto's effects with AI and all this technology that's so futuristic. Well, it is going to be exponential, and we're going to see so much future technology. And that change has a lot to teach us, right? But Pluto shows you the shadow of that. the shadow of groups as well, the shadow side of group consciousness and society and technology. Pluto moving into Aquarius is teaching you to be unique, to know that you have a lot to contribute to society by being yourself. And so much of this year is teaching you to have the courage to be yourself. You've been learning this for a long time, and it's really coming to a head this year. It's really coming to focus. So let's talk again about this 8 numerology. The 8 is known as the money number, the power number. That doesn't just come to you from falling out of the sky. It's not that you inherently have money when the 8 is present. You learn lessons around money, power, status, and respect. You're learning to build your strength. This is a year of intense power dynamics. And whereas last year was the water rabbit, this year is the wood dragon. Do you feel the power? How different this energy is? There's so much power in this. And this is about you summoning your power and tapping into your power and knowing your power. And that's going to be tested. Because if you're listening to this, most likely you are sensitive. Maybe you're a people pleaser, even though you're like, I'm a lot better than I used to be. We all are, okay, because we had to be. You're really going to learn those lessons this year, amplified. It started July of 2023 when the nodes of the moon, the nodes of destiny, moved into Aries and Libra, with the north node of destiny in Aries. Fire. Being true to yourself, having courage, being pioneering, putting yourself first. With the south node in Libra, we're all collectively learning not to be people pleasers. And if you're inherently one, this year, it's all going to come to a head. It's all going to come to focus. And so we have that Aries. In astrology, the nodes of the moon, the north node of the moon is known as the head of the dragon, and the south node is the tail of the dragon, what you're moving away from. So the head of the dragon in fire-breathing Aries in the year of the dragon. Can you feel that power? So you're going to have a lot of lessons around having the courage to be yourself, having the courage to think outside of the box. And you know, the dragon too is the only one of the creatures in the Chinese zodiac that's mythical, that's imaginary. So there's this sense of being different, but there's also that sense of it being epic. This is an epic year where everything is amplified. So the 8 amplifies everything. You're going to have many, many lessons around people pleasing and around putting yourself first. So the opportunities in this are you to amplify your power, for you to tap into that dragon's energy, for you to harness the north node of the moon, the head of the dragon, to be pioneering, to be entrepreneurial, to know your worth, to command the respect that you deserve so that you receive the money, wealth, status, and power that you deserve. So there are going to be many lessons around that. And remember, Neptune is at the very, 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 very end of the entire zodiac. It's going to be going back and forth into these karmic degrees of Pisces, which is inherently a karmic sign in the sense that it embodies everything. So you're meant to really take all of your lessons and culminate them right now. You're waking up to some long-standing issues around power, status, wealth, and respect. So take note of the lessons around that have been coming up. Take note of the power dynamics you have and the energy drains that you have by giving too much to other people, by saying yes when your heart is not in something. And that's another thing that the 8 teaches you. And also this Aries North Node, it teaches you to be comfortable with very uncomfortable emotions, like anger, which shows you where your boundaries have been crossed, where your boundaries have been disrespected, even if you're the one doing it. Maybe especially if you're the one doing it. So take note of where you feel exploited, where you feel disrespected. This is not a year to bury your head in the sand. This is a year to be a very active participant in your life. The rewards of this are infinite. And you notice the 8 is the infinity symbol on its side. The top part of the 8 represents spirit. The bottom circle represents matter. So when you're listening to your inspiration, when you're listening to your divine wisdom, when you're summoning your power and your passions and you're acting on them, that is when you receive infinite abundance. And there's something else with the 8. It teaches you about big gains and big losses. If you've experienced losses recently or throughout this year, which may happen, there's a sense of regeneration. You can bounce back from it better and bolder and rich in spirit and material wealth, better than you did before. Everything in life is a learning experience. Everything. Your soul is delighting in what you perceive as a failure. So as you're looking back on your life, which is what this first 3 weeks of January is about, do it from a sense of compassion. Do it from a sense of your soul. What did I learn from this? And how can I take that and use it to my advantage moving forward? Don't dwell on your mistakes. Don't dwell on your losses or whatever you perceive was a disappointment. Learn from it. This is a year where you can really expand your power, your reach, your self-respect, and how people treat you in ways that you never thought were possible. You can look back on this year so proud of yourself and completely in awe of what you were able to achieve and do and be. So that being said, I have 3 action steps to help you throughout the year. Your first action step is to summon your inner warrior. When you're making a choice, and there will be many choices for you to make, when you're doing that, imagine there's a part of yourself that is a fierce protector, that fights for what's right for you, that fights for the justice that you deserve or that other people deserve. Your inner warrior is within you. Embody that energy. And when you have a choice to make, ask yourself, what would my inner warrior do? How would my inner warrior handle this? Embody the energy of your own protector. Embody the energy of that trailblazing Aries, the head of the dragon, that is courageous and bold and daring. So do that throughout the year as you're making your decisions, as you're moving through your life, and see how your life changes. So your second action step is to put yourself first. When you're making choices, again, you'll have lots of choices to make. Imagine yourself in the center of your story. Put yourself first. So before you're planning your year, before you're planning your months or your weeks or whatever you're planning, first, what do you want your life experience to be? Not your obligations, not what other people expect of you. Put yourself first. that's going to change everything. Because your biggest lesson right now, throughout this whole year, is putting yourself last, or at least some other people before you. So the more you practice with your inner warrior, putting yourself first, your life is going to change for the better every single day. And you're going to find that this actually helps your loved ones. Because when you help yourself, when you know what's right for you, it benefits everyone around you. So if you're afraid of making choices or decisions because you think you're going to hurt or disappoint your loved ones, remember, what's good for you is eventually going to be good for them. So keep that in your heart. And speaking of your heart, your third action step is to listen to your passions. Your passions will always lead you to your purpose. You have so much passion inside of you. And as you're making choices this year, are you passionate? How do you feel about the project or people that you are investing in? Do you feel loved? Do you feel excited? Do you feel lit up inside? Or do you feel lukewarm? It's not a time for kind of flat, okay emotions. This is a time to tune in to what lights you up and have that motivate your every move. There are going to be a lot of emotions that are coming up that you may be afraid of, and that's all part of the large human experience. You will feel all of it more deeply this year. And that allows you to live more passionately. That allows you to feel life more deeply. So don't be afraid of the sadness, the rage, the grief, the jealousy. Let yourself feel all of it. That is what it's like to be a passionate, lit up human being having a full range of experiences. And remember to make your decisions based on what feels really good for you. If it's not a hell yes, it may not be a hell no, but it probably maybe not something to invest in right now. Listen to your heart. Listen to that motivation inside of you, and you will always find your way. I hope that has helped you really focus this year. I really distilled for you the most essential, important lessons of the year. I could talk about the nuances and the dynamics of all the planets and all the energy for hours. And you know what? I did. I have a 3-hour program for you. 2024 Illuminated talks about all the numerology, all the astrology, the nuances, the best times for love, money, career opportunities, starting something, and also the times you really, really want to avoid. It is so nuanced, and I mapped out the entire thing for you in 2024 Illuminated, and that also includes a 170-page celestial guide that you can refer to all the time, and I highly recommend you do. It can save you so much time and energy in the long run. I can't tell you how many people think they failed when really it was just they didn't do something in the right time. It's like trying to take a sailboat out in a hurricane. So I highly recommend, if you want to make the most of this year, to join me for 2024 Illuminated. You can download most of this right now, and we also have a live event on the new moon, which happens to be on 1/11, 111, Divine Inspiration, and that's going to be recorded for you as well, that you can access forever. In the meantime, I am wishing you the most joyful, incredible year. And if you want to know your personal numerology, I also have a free guide for you that you can use for the year as well. And I'll include all of that in the links below. I'm wishing you a joyful, beautiful 2024 and beyond. Lots of love. Bye for now.